Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic, and in this video I'm going to be talking about The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 5, The Jedi. So, a fun episode to watch, but this episode creates a lot of questions and problems, I think, with the Star Wars lore. But I'll get into that in a little bit. But if you haven't seen this episode yet, spoiler warning, I'm going to be talking about the episode in detail. So I'll give a quick breakdown of the plot. So the episode picks up directly where the last one left off. In the last episode, we've seen that the Mandalorian helped Bo-Katan on a mission, and in return, she gave him some information. So I'm starting to kind of notice a trend with the show. He needs information or an item, and the people he needs it from, they always want him to help them on a mission in return. So this has been almost every episode now. So this is kind of starting to get a little bit repetitive. So he makes his way to this planet. And now this planet is almost like a planet of dead trees and fog. That's the only way I can explain it. With an old, dusty, like it almost looks like an old western town on it. And this town is under the control of what I would call like a local warlord. And she has a corrupt marshal helping her oppress and bully the people of this town. And this is where The Mandalorian is a lot like a Western, because I've seen Westerns like this, where you have a town full of people that are being bullied by either a very corrupt, rich mayor who uses the local marshal as like his henchman, and usually like the hero has to show up, stranger comes to town, and have to make things right. So the Mandalorian shows up, and he's looking for a Jedi, but these people are being plagued by a Jedi, this town. And so they tell him, well, if you can eliminate this Jedi for us, the price, we can pay you quite a bit. And the woman who's in control of this town has a spear made of pure Beskar. So she tells him, if you kill this Jedi for us, I will give you this spear of Beskar in return. So he goes out, but he has no intention of actually hunting down this Jedi because he needs to find a Jedi to return Baby Yoda to the Jedi Order. So the Jedi he finds is Ashoka. And so anyway, they have a brief confrontation. And then, so he wants her to help him with Baby Yoda. She says she will, but in return, and here's the thing that it's starting to get repetitive now, she has to help him on he has to help her on a mission, and that is to free the people from this local warlord and the crooked marshal. And that is, and then the action kicks off from there. So that's the plot in a nutshell. So a few things about this episode that I like is we get to see Michael Biehn. Now, everyone remembers him as Kyle Reese from The Terminator. That's probably what he's most famous for. And he's done a bunch of movies in the 80s and stuff. And it was cool to see him in this episode. He played the part of what I would call like the crooked marshal or the corrupt marshal. He's almost like the marshal of the town, like the bully marshal. And he did a great job in the episode. It was really cool to see him in it, and I liked this character. He was like an old, rugged, with this beat-up armor and stuff like that. So that was cool. But the big thing about this episode was Ahsoka. We got to see her in this episode in live action, and Rosario Dawson was just made to play her in live action. She looks like her from the cartoon, and when she has the makeup and all that on, it's really awesome looking. And I really like the style of lightsabers that she used, where one lightsaber is a little bit shorter than the other one. And that was cool. And they just show the character right at the beginning of the episode. We get to see her. There's no like kind of build up or nothing. We get to see her in full action right at the start of the episode. It's really cool action scene where these guards are like hunting her through this like dead forest, and she's like using her Jedi powers to stealthily move through the trees and take these guys out one at a time. It was really cool. And then the battle between the crooked town marshal and his officers and stuff like that, the battle between them, the Mandalorian and Ahsoka, was really cool. And it was very much like a Western, even right down to the Mandalorian having a Western-style gun draw with the crooked marshal. And then we had a cool combat scene where the local warlord woman had a battle with Ahsoka. She had that Beskar spear, and they were fighting like in combat with that, and that was actually a pretty good sequence. And apparently a lightsaber cannot cut through Beskar. So that's something I didn't know. But now that I've talked about things that I liked, and the other thing, we got to know some of the background of Baby Yoda. which is part of the thing that I kind of don't like. So I'm going to get into that, what I don't like. So this is a problem I have with Star Wars, and it's not with this episode, but it's kind of with Star Wars overall, and it's not a new problem. I think they even had this problem was created with the old EU, and that's having Jedi survive the Purge. When you watch the original trilogy, the only two Jedi that should be alive at the time of A New Hope is Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda. Those are the only two guys that should have survived the Purge. And just to make sure that I wasn't remembering it wrong, I went back and watched the death scene of Yoda from Return of the Jedi. And Yoda does in fact tell Luke, when I die, you're the last Jedi. The last of the Jedi you will be. So when Yoda croaks, Luke Skywalker is the only Jedi left. But apparently not. Now we have all these other Jedi that have somehow survived the Purge, with Ahsoka being one of them. And this kind of creates a big problem, because I have a lot of, and not only that, but Baby Yoda is another Jedi that survived the Purge. So I'll talk a little bit about the Baby Yoda background in length here. So apparently we learn his background. He was a youngling that was being trained during the period of the prequels in the Jedi Temple, and he somehow survived the Purge and was, I think, like hidden away or escaped. But then his memory is foggy after that. So there's a gap in his memory from the time of the prequels to where he survives to now. So there's something happened to him in all those years. So we don't know. And we learn his name. It's like Grogu or Groku, something like that. And it sounds terrible. I'm just going to keep calling him Baby Yoda. I think they really shit the bed on the name for this character. But so now Ahsoka's been alive all this time, and then in the episode she tells the Jedi, he has to stay with you because his bond to you is kind of like a weakness. If we separate you, that might actually lead him to the dark side. He has to stay with you, and then just let his abilities fade over time. So she tells him he can take him to this ancient planet that has an old ancient Jedi temple. He can go to this rock, and then he can meditate. And then what might happen is he'll reach out, and a Jedi might be able to. Another Jedi will contact him. And I'm thinking, well, how many Jedi are left? Luke Skywalker should be the only one at this point. And because this takes place after Return of the Jedi. I don't know how many years after Return of the Jedi, but the Mandalorian is supposed to take place. So, so he ends up staying, obviously, with the Mandalorian. But now, it goes back to the problem. Now, if Ahsoka survived the Purge and was around all this time, that brings up some big-time questions. Okay, why didn't she help the rebellion in A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi? Why didn't she help train Luke Skywalker? Why is she still hiding now? The Emperor's dead, Vader's dead. The Empire has collapsed. I mean, I know there's still pockets of it functioning, but for the most part, they've lost power. We have a new republic. So why isn't she helping the current heroes build a new republic? Why didn't she, there's so many questions, why did she just sit on the sidelines? Now, I haven't watched Rebels. Maybe that was somehow answered in that series. I don't know. But this is where I kind of have a problem with the lore of Star Wars is a little bit broken with this. And this is something I think they did with the old EU as well. They had some comics where there were some Jedi that had survived the Purge. It kind of creates the same problem. Then it kind of diminishes how bad a shape the Jedi were in or we were led to believe in the original trilogy. Like, they were all but extinct. There's only 2 of them survived, and Luke was the New Hope, and then he was the last one, and it was his job to go on and rebuild the Jedi. So he would have been like the founding Jedi of a whole new Jedi Order. But so this is where I kind of have I like the character of Ahsoka, and the episode was cool. It was cool to see her in live action, all that, but kind of creates this weird situation where it's like a massive plot hole in all the movies and stuff. And obviously she's really powerful, so they could have used her big time. So I don't know what the deal is. And the other thing, there's another kind of like contradiction in this episode. It's a minor one, but it's something that jumped out at me. When she saw Baby Yoda, she said, well, this... So they're trying to make it seem like the species is really rare, Yoda's species. And you don't see them very often. And nobody really knows who the species is or what the species is or anything like that. So she says, I've only known of one other like this in existence. And his name was Yoda, and he was a powerful Jedi Master. But that's wrong. Remember Yaddle from the prequel trilogy? So there was another guy like Yoda. There was a younger version of Yoda, Yaddle, who was a Jedi. And now we just saw him kind of like in the background. He was on the Jedi Council and stuff. But still, there was another one of these aliens around, or like guys like Yoda around. Not just the baby Yoda. So there was at least 3, but somehow Ahsoka must have forgot about this guy. So that's, I don't know, that's kind of like a problem I have, and maybe they'll explain it in The Mandalorian, why she never took part in the battle against the Empire and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, but I got a lot of questions about it. Now, I'm not like, I don't know all the Star Wars lore. Maybe there's someone who knows more than I do, can explain it in the comments section, can, you know, answer my question. But yeah, this brings up some big plot holes, so I don't know. And this is a problem with a lot of properties. When they start to get really big, you start to see like a lot of continuity errors, contradictions, and stuff like that. Because I get it, like the Jedi are cool, so they can't help themselves but put a Jedi in the show, but at the same time, there shouldn't be any Jedi, with the exception of Luke Skywalker. And maybe there's someone Luke Skywalker's just starting to train at this point, who knows. But you see this with Star Trek and all these other ones like Doctor Who and the Terminator. Once so many writers, all these different writers get on board and you start making all these different movies and TV shows and books and all that, it gets so big that it ends up contradicting itself, and you get a lot of plot holes and stuff like that. It just happens once something gets so big. But all that besides, it was a fun episode to watch. I mean, the show is fun to watch. It's getting kind of repetitive, though, the episodes, the plot, like, you need something, so he has to help someone on a mission. So that's kind of getting annoying. They need to somehow change it up a little bit. But that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.